Caught you mid-sip.
Sipping that mid. A boy needs energy to get through such a hefty pod.
We're known as the heftiest podcast
Uh,
out
you see, our
there.
podcast carries weight, not emotional weight or gravitas or anything like that. It's just thick, like viscous syrup.
It's got fupa. Our
Yes.
podcast has fupa.
Yeah.
I watched something I wanted to talk about, but it's gone out of my head. What was it?
A low key snuff film.
Oh, actually, not a snuff film, but I did watch Escape Room or Panic Room, something like that on Netflix. A new thing?
Panic with Jared Leto.
No, it was new. It was kind of like Saw, but not Saw, and
Ew.
it was strange. That's I don't know. It was very it was like watching Saw. Really, what else can you say?
Is it like body gore, torture porn sort of stuff, or
Not really. There wasn't a whole lot of like people did die, but it wasn't um it didn't show a whole lot of gore. It
right?
was kind of cool. It was it was like a you know those escape rooms, but one that tried to kill you.
Oh, oh, okay, cool.
And
I'll check it out.
yeah, it was pretty well. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe.
My thing with like horror, I can watch pretty much any horror except for body horror and like really bad torture porn. Like I just shut down and get squeamish. Like
Yeah,
The Thing and The Fly always freak me out, as well as like Hostel and just really brutal stuff like that.
yeah. I still haven't seen The Fly, but I gotta. I should watch it.
It's just uncomfortable.
I've heard.
Just uncomfortable movie.
I've heard the. Yeah, I've heard. I think it ends abruptly, or it has a weird ending or something. I don't know. I gotta watch
We
it.
should, yeah. But I'm sure you did find time to watch a certain episode of something.
You know, I did. You know, I watched that Poirot.
Even though we were meant to record this yesterday, but someone hadn't watched Poirot, and that would take too much time to do both.
It was me.
It was me. Uh,
Um,
yes.
uh, I watched it. Season 1, episode 2. Um, insert funny title name.
What was the title?
It was actually called Murder in the Mews.
Oh, that's where they kill Bellamy. There was nothing wrong with the title.
Yeah, so that's what happened. They killed
They're
Matt Dillon.
investigating the death of lead singer of hit
Muse.
rock band Muse, Matt Bellamy.
It was a double murder. Him and his career. Oh, no. I I liked I liked this episode more than the first episode.
The first episode was quite clunky, but this episode felt a little bit smoother. But
Yeah.
there was just like, touches of out of date racial jokes.
Yeah, yeah, there
there was
was.
there was a bit of that.
There was. It was weird because I feel like they just about got away with it by like by back then standards, but maybe not now, you know?
No, no, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like yeah. Um so
It,
so the episode opens up with like a fireworks display, and they're all talking about how quaint, how good a cover fireworks would be for murder.
yeah.
I don't know why the three like go-to policemen like Poirot, Hastings, and Inspector
And
Japp are just hanging out at a fireworks show. because they don't
Yeah,
have a life outside of crime, but for some reason for this episode they did.
yeah, it was a good the perfect setup for the episode. Strangely, that they would
So
be together.
they raised that scenario. Wouldn't it be funny if someone was shot dead mid firework display, only for a case to come in the next morning of someone being shot dead mid firework display?
Hmm.
Snap cut to an artist studio, which looks quite fucking good. This is the one thing I don't get about Poirot, right? This was like shot in the 1990s, and they just seem to find perfect um locations and settings that look
Yeah.
exactly like, when is Poirot set? It's either set in the 1930s or the 1950s.
Hold on. We should just look this up just to know,
Yes.
because we didn't we didn't know last time. 1920 to 1932.
Yeah, right. So it's set in between both world wars, and they just kill it with like finding the best like locations. Like they're just full of like, they find these great Art Deco style places that look that have that sort of timeless fashion about them, which maybe
Yeah.
is the reason they always look good. But like, yeah, the artist studio, and later on they find like a 1950s swimming, no, sorry, a 1930s, I should say, swimming pool that just looks the part, and it's like, it blows my mind because obviously they didn't have a budget for it. Like, it wouldn't have been super big budget, but they were able to find all these locations. This is my takeaway.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming it's filmed in London, or if not, I'm gonna just look up where it was filmed,
Yeah,
because
do that.
um
In the meantime, the rest of the episode, they come in, they find a lovely young woman has killed herself. But on closer inspection, it looks as though someone had planted a gun to make it look like she'd killed herself, as the doors and windows were all barred.
yeah, it says well, it says UK, but it says London for most
Right,
of it anyway.
right,
Um
right.
I'm guessing that England being an old country, it just has these buildings from different time periods. So,
It's probably big enough that there is just an expanse of locations to choose from, and they have
yeah.
like a lot of cities.
Um,
But
you messaged me yesterday with the what was it? Ever so gently at the
um,
start of the
yes,
episode.
Hastings, your leg has been pulled ever so gently.
um, yeah, I love the Hastings and Poirot dynamic. Ever
it's like
so
a weird,
gently.
it's like a
Pulls the
weird
legs.
negative Rodney and Del Boy
It
pairing.
is. It is. Um, yeah, we're talking a bit out of going kind of back and forth with it now, but um, yeah, there's a woman. She's dead.
So she's dead. It looks as though she's killed herself, except upon closer inspection, we see that the gun has been moved slightly, and there's enough evidence to suggest that possibly someone else planted the gun.
Yeah, and there's a couple of things that are iffy about the whole scene. It's in her left hand, uh, but no one they talk to says that she was left-handed, and the fingerprints on the gun are not sufficient to look like she actually pulled the trigger. And there's a couple other things. Um, the the cigarettes.
Two
There's
different brands of cigarette.
Yeah. So there was two things at the start that I thought they were suggesting. The first thing I thought was because it was Hastings who said, uh, "This is the perfect time to shoot someone in a firework display," and then they went to where his car was parked, and then the next day, Japs, is that his name? Japs?
Yeah, Jap.
Jap. He he said there was a gunshot where Hastings car. I thought that, and then Poirot rushed off without Hastings. I thought that maybe they thought it could have been Hastings that done it.
Yeah, I was expecting that twist. But how could we ever think that such a cerebral show like Poirot would lead us down such an obvious route?
Of course not. And then I thought there was a bit of a gay vibe between the
Where? Where?
the woman who was dead and the woman she
Oh,
lived
right.
with. Should I have
I
said a
thought
lesbian vibe?
yeah, no, you're right. It just like when you led from like everyone assuming that Hastings. It's all a metaphor for men not able to live their true sexuality
so
in such
that's
a reserved period in English history.
I kind of thought for a minute that like maybe there was that there was maybe between the woman who was dead and her, I don't know, housemate.
Yeah,
I thought maybe they were like secret lovers or something, but that wasn't the case either.
there was a touch of that. Maybe that I got that too, but maybe
Maybe it
that's
was
just our own
just misdirection, or I don't know.
prejudice looking at it.
Too many straights in this show.
But we find out that she was engaged to meet. She was engaged to do this MP.
Mm.
He's a nasty man. Well, not a nasty man, just
Well,
somewhat uncaring.
yeah, stiff upper lip, he said. They told him that his fiance was dead, and then he answered a phone call and acted like everything was normal. But again, misdirection.
Yes. So we see, like, we find out that she was also talking to this other man, someone she had met in India, and who she was fleeing from, as there was a bit of blackmail allegedly taking place. Cut to is like actually not even the cut to the really racially insensitive Asian bar. Where
Yeah.
there's this like nondescript Asian person singing a song about people not knowing where she's from because Asians, huh?
Yeah, and Poirot, the whole episode, he's annoyed with his collar because the laundromat isn't doing it right.
It's a too starchy collar.
It's too starchy, yeah. And there's a bit of a joke there that's a little bit outdated now, but
we can cut it in just so they have an idea of what we're talking about.
Yeah, we'll put it in right here.
They're Chinese, Mr. Poirot.
The bulldog breed laundry is Chinese?
Yes, Mr. Poirot.
What is the world coming to, Miss Lemon?
I'm sure I couldn't say, sir, but when the boy brings your laundry back, he brings the letters back too for me to explain to him.
And you do?
No.
Why not?
I don't speak Chinese.
So what do you say to him?
Well, I say him collar no very good starchy. I show him the collars and say it.
Hastings, my friend, you spent some years in China, did you not?
No, absolutely. Fine fellows, fine fellows.
Did you ever have any trouble with your laundry?
Yes, I did, as a matter of fact.
And what did you say to them?
Well, I said him collar no very good starchy.
That's where I got it from, sir. I asked the captain knowing he'd been in the East.
But Hastings, my collars, they do not get any better.
No, mine didn't either, now I come to think about it.
That doesn't float too well in 2021, does it, folks?
Not quite. Maybe in 2020, but no, I'm kidding.
The thing is, it's all like a byproduct because it isn't, and it has nothing got to do with the story, really.
Not really.
They're just like having random jibs and like
Yeah.
Asian people. But we find out that he's, I assume, not the owner, but the manager of this said bar.
Mm.
And they pin the murder on him as he's not able to really explain away everything properly. And they find out that he's been smoking the same cigarettes that are found in the room, and he was the last person to see her that night.
Yeah.
Snaps
Suspicious.
to Mr. Poirot, who is not as easily deduced by this.
Mm-hmm.
Who decides to tag our artist that murdered woman was sharing an apartment with, only to find out she's been snapping a load of golf clubs and leading him around a golf course.
That was a funny scene as well, where was it Hastings or someone else? He asked him, does he have his handicap book on him or something? And Poirot was like, I assure you I'm fine. Something.
Yeah.
You don't happen to have a handicap certificate on you, do you, sir?
No, I'm fine.
That was
Do
very...
you know how to golf? Let me tell you the name of Poirot strikes fear across every golf course in Europe. Now, Hastings, I believe, have to poke a small ball into a hole with this stick. Also, I've noticed that he never wears anything other than his grey suit.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't bother wearing.
Oh, and the dentist as
shoes.
well. The dentist.
Poirot's dodging the dentist.
He's dodging the dentist. What does he say though? He's like, his teeth are perfection or something like that.
Hercule Poirot does not need to go to the dentist, Miss Lemon.
You've put it off once already.
My teeth are perfection. It is sacrilege to tamper with them.
To alter them would be a sin.
He's so funny.
Anyway, he tails this lady as she abandons and breaks a load of clubs. We found out the clubs belong to murdered persons collection, and she was getting rid of them to make sure no one would find out that she actually was left-handed. So it turns out the murder was never a murder in the first place. It was the person actually did kill herself, and the roommate was trying
Wait a sec.
to frame the owner of the Asian club because she disliked him once, and also because she drove, allegedly, he drove the victim to suicide.
Yeah, he was kind of blackmailing her or something.
Yes.
And so she took the opportunity to set him up.
Yeah.
As to make it look like he murdered her, but it didn't fly with Poirot.
Not for Poirot, who wrapped up the case with a simple, "Now, gentlemen,
It is time for me to take you to lunch.
It's my favorite thing."
I liked this episode. The shaky cam was sorted. There was no.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I assumed the first episode was just the pilot, but I like the idea that it wasn't. It was just. It wasn't even a murder.
Yeah. No, it wasn't.
It was just a really smart way of someone. It was a smart effort of covering up your tracks and stuff.
Yeah. There was a lot of misdirection in this one that I liked.
There was.
Kept you on your toes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. On my Poirots. I like this
Keeping
one.
up to my Poirots. Yes.
Oops. What was it? Murder in the Mews. Yeah. How many mustaches?
Play one Muse song.
What's that about?
Not one. Maybe we should see what that episode looked like with a more rockin' soundtrack.
But then, right here.
Right here.
I mean,
Hercule Poirot's residence.
Poirot, please.
Oh,
Jeff here.
yes. Chief Inspector Jack. He's here.
Good morning.
that changes everything.
So one thing Poirot was missing was, mid 2000s alt rock.
It was. Luckily we're. Do you know what? There's what's his name? Kenneth Branagh. He's making it now. He could put Muse into his movies.
Could.
Did you see the trailer for the new?
No, I don't really want to until I see the first movie though.
Well, I wanted to talk about
Maybe.
one thing, but I won't.
Yeah, fire away. No, go for it.
The size
Or
of
should I
his
watch it?
mustache in the first movie is ridiculous.
As in massive or small?
Massive.
See, it loses all the subtlety.
But in the trailer for the new one, his mustache is much more tame.
It's a bit more kempt.
Yeah.
We
Which
got a
is
proper mustache wrangler for this project.
yeah, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Well, I suppose he was rough behind the ears in the first movie, and to show that they had to show a wild, unkempt, little sweeper there.
This is
Whereas,
a more experienced Poirot in the second movie.
yeah, he's a bit more. The edges have been smoothed out. He knows his way around a crime scene.
Of
And
course.
the mustache shows that.
In terms of this episode, how many mustaches would you give it?
I'd give it a solid 5 out of 5.
Really, that many?
Okay, maybe not. Maybe that should we didn't see Poirot eating.
We saw the suggestion of lunch.
We were we were teased.
If we had seen him eat, I'd give it a solid 5, maybe 4.5. Oh,
There also wasn't a whole lot of Poirot either.
True. But I did think it was a good episode, so I'd give it a good few.
4 out of 5.
Yeah, 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5.
Solid 4 handlebars out of 5.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Mon ami.